Hey guys, it's Tuesday. Come on in. Welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. I'm Brian, host of the show. Show. It's a YouTube channel, but I'm also director, producer, cameraman, all of the above. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're not new and you're returning for more, thank you. Don't forget, subscribe down below. And if you want to hit the like button, great. You don't have to, though. I'm not here to make money. I'm just here to talk, share recipes and things I do. I want my great-great-grandchildren to know who I was and what, I was about. But anyhow, so I had a couple stories that a couple things I wanted to talk about today. One I'm going to have to bring back up real quick because it just dropped off my computer. And it's just a really neat story about a man from back in 1976. He's still alive. He's was an Olympic swimmer named Sharvash Karapetin. He is an Armenian Olympic swimmer, and he did a couple amazing things that nobody ever really talked about. He was kind of like a side note once. But in 1976, him and his brother were out. They had just completed a 12-mile run, which is important when you're going to be an swimmer, is to stay in shape. When a trolley bus crashed off the side of a reservoir out 80 feet offshore and 33 feet down, he, without hesitation, dove in the water, and without not being able to see a thing in the water, managed to kick out some of the glass in this bus, injured himself in the process, but still managed to save 20 plus people before he himself had to be hospitalized for 45 days with damage to his lungs and hypothermia and sepsis. That ended his Olympic career, as an athlete. But he never once complained about it. He did what was right. He saved lives. And for that, nobody ever talked about it until 1982, when an article came out about the bus crash and what he had done. That was the only time his name was mentioned. And then again in 1985, there was a building that was on fire in his neighborhood, and he didn't stop, didn't hesitate, didn't wait. He ran into this building and started pulling people out one at a time until he himself collapsed due to severe burns and lung damage from all the smoke. Now, he is still alive today, and the guy that put this little article together that my friend Christy on Facebook had shared with me said that, this guy's still alive. He's still kicking at age 66, but he's an awesome person that this guy just learned about and thought he would share it. And I just learned about it, so I thought I would share it. Because stuff like this needs to be shared. This guy should have been mentioned long before. He should have been mentioned in the 70s when he saved those 20 people, or in 1985 when he pulled people out of that burning building. But unfortunately, we spend a little too much time celebrating the negative by talking about it all the time, and not enough of the positive by ignoring it. It's like we got it backwards in some ways. So the other thing I want to talk about today, this is kind of my main topic, is healthcare. Now, as most of you may know, if you're watching my past videos, I've been going to the doctor a lot lately, and it's been for my memory. My retention is horrible, and it has been for quite some time. Now, for the longest time growing up, unfortunately, I was masking a lot of this by smoking a lot of pot, a lot of dope, a lot of marijuana, whatever you want to call it. And it pretty much hid my ADHD. That's what they determined I have. Well, now that I quit all that, I no longer do drugs other than my blood pressure medicine. I no longer drink. I guess in some ways you could call me a lame duck, but I just don't feel the need to have that as part of my life anymore. I will never condone anybody that does have that as part of their life, but it's not a part of mine anymore. So, that being said, it brought my ADHD to the forefront, and I've had to go to the doctor for several different visits before we could finally conclude this is what it is. that I need medication for it, that there isn't really an alternative other than what I've been doing, which isn't really working. Um, and so we've got that figured out. But copay after copay after copay, and I was like, wow, I'm spending a lot of money. Well, then John Oliver, which he has a show on HBO. You may not know it. You may know it. You may watch it every week. I know I do. It's called This Week with John Oliver. And where he talks about different topics, whether it be political, social, or otherwise. If you watch him for no other reason, he's pretty funny. At least I find him funny, even if it's stuff I don't agree on. Anyhow, he was talking about a topic similar to this. It was called Healthcare Sharing Ministries, which is a conglomerate of churches, usually Christian-based, who have it starts out as their congregation gets together and pays into like a healthcare system, where then the church or a group of churches, as the case may be, then pay the hospital. So you pay them money, then they pay the hospital. That way, you're inevitably helping to pay for everybody's insurance, your health care, and everybody's helping to pay for yours. And on the basis, it sounds great. And I mean, I'm sure it does work. The downside to those are that they're not regulated because they're not considered insurance as traditional insurance. And they have some rules that, depending on your beliefs, if you don't agree with them, they can deny you health care. They could not pay your bills. I saw, and it was on his episode, there was a little girl who had to have a tumor removed. And because of something that the mom did when she was back in high school, these people denied the claim. Now, after it made national news and they were kind of thrown in the limelight for not doing something positive, everything got paid and life was good. But that's something you can kind of run into. You can run into that with any company, though. So, but it was something he said in an episode that kind of got me thinking. And it was about traditional insurance and how, with traditional insurance, 20% of what you pay in goes to support the actual company. As far as like, if you have for the health insurance company to pay their workers, keep the lights on, and all that stuff. The other 80% of the business has to go towards paying out people's bills, hospital expenses, things like that. Which got me thinking about all the money that I spend every 2 weeks on my insurance, because insurance isn't cheap either way you go, mine included. Although oddly enough, if you work for somebody and your spouse has insurance, they may not let your spouse come onto your insurance. We ran into that. Chris's work has the ability to give her insurance, and so does mine. Well, mine was cheaper. And when we were going to try to put her on my insurance. Now, this was last year, and we got a different insurance company now. But when we went to try to put her on my insurance, so we weren't kind of paying out two different insurances, because I carry the family plan that covers the girls, this company said, no, you have to go, she has to go with her company's insurance, which oddly enough at the time was the same insurance company. Well, here was the problem with that. Let's say I was paying out $200 every payday, although I don't even know now what I pay. And that was for me and 3 kids, 3 of our 4. Her insurance for just herself was almost $400 through the same company. Now, I know some of that has to do with what kind of plan you got, how many people work for the company, blah, blah. There's a lot of factors that go into how much you pay and why. But ultimately, almost a $200, it was almost double for them to insure just one person versus what it costs for my company to insure, my insurance company through my company to insure 4 people. I thought that was a bit ridiculous. But all the same, it got me to thinking when he said that, that only 20% goes to office work, and the office backside of it, the rest of it goes into, paying out people's claims. What were the percentages? How much? Where are we spending that money at? Where is that 80% going? That was what I was wondering. So with the 80%, the three biggest things we pay out is number one is prescription drugs. If we think about this as 100 pennies or $1, okay, or $100, your insurance costs $100. Where is that money? How do we divide up that $100 for what goes where? So prescription drugs is the biggest one. At $21.50, we'll say, for prescription drugs, or 21.5% of our $100 goes towards prescription drug costs. 19.8%, or $19.80 of our money, of our $100 goes for outpatient hospital costs. 19% flat goes to inpatient hospital costs. And the last big number on that is doctor visits at 12.1%. The other two categories were emergency room visits, which were 3%, and other outpatient care, which was 6%. So, is our problem in what the insurance company is charging us for their cost at 20%, or what these prescription drug companies and the hospitals and the doctors are charging us and the insurance companies for their services? I think it's a little bit of both, but I think there's a balance and harmony. I think one leads the other. Okay, so let's say I'm an insurance company. I only get by federal law, I only get 20% to spend, right? Well, if the 80% keeps going up, my 20% is naturally going to go up, and I'm going to pass it all on to you, the consumer. So I'm kind of locked into a certain amount, and I almost cheer for some of this stuff to go up, because if I have to keep raising my prices to pay out, then you're ultimately going to pay. You can say, well, yeah, but Brian, eventually that would damage the insurance company. Kind of. So we could start by, let's say, prescription drugs. Do you realize an aspirin, we'll say a single aspirin here in the U.S., it could cost you $5. A single aspirin costs you $5, let's just say. Where everywhere else in the world, it might cost 50 cents. So that's kind of crazy, and that holds true for a lot of the name brand prescription drugs we have prescribed to us here in the U.S. It is so overly inflated compared to the rest of the world. Now, I don't know what it costs to run a prescription drug company. I don't know how much it costs to run Big Pharma, but I do know that one of the main company that was sued for for their part in the opioid pandemic, the family that owns it was sued for billions of dollars, along with the company, and they didn't go broke. So maybe we should look at how much we're paying. I mean, I know greater the risk, the greater the reward. They own the company, blah, blah, blah. But maybe it shouldn't be at the cost of, because what's happened is that has made it so the cost is so great that they essentially get to pick and choose who gets medicine, who lives, and who dies. If you can't afford your medicine because the cost is so high, let's say your insurance company doesn't cover it or doesn't cover enough of it. I know that the medicine they're going to put me on for my ADHD, name brand wise, can run me almost $600 a month. I have a good friend who has to take insulin. Her insulin without her insurance would run her upwards of $500 a shot. I think that's a bit much. And I would like to think you would think that too. Now, you do have generic options, but generics have their ups and downs too. Their pros and cons. So we need to figure out a way to get those prescription drug costs down. Now, our government's tried and things like that, although I don't think they try very hard sometimes. But another one is the inpatient hospital care. Let's run outpatient because that actually is more than only by 0.8, but it's more. Let's talk about that for a minute. I have a great example for that, and this is why I know it could work, and we can lower these prices. This is why I know. Which in turn, if they don't charge as much, then the insurance company doesn't have to spend as much. Then we don't have to pay as much to the insurance company. Because no matter what, they're only getting 20%. But here's my example of this, and it affected me personally. During the pandemic, they thought I had a hernia. Okay, at the beginning of the pandemic. Well, my doctor, who was obviously not taking anybody in at the moment because the world was falling apart, there was we didn't know what was going on. I got the worst dry mouth. So I had to go to the emergency room to have a X-ray done, or an MRI of my belly, to see if I actually had a hernia. Now, I receive a bill, even though I have insurance, I receive a bill for this MRI for almost $5,000. And now you can say, yeah, but Brian, your insurance would cover most of that. You would think. But the way insurance is set up, you have a deductible you have to pay out first. And in this case, my deductible is $5,000. So you say, well, what's that mean? Well, that means that I have to spend $5,000 of my own money before the insurance company will actually start paying for anything, of consequence. I honestly think they paid like $150 of that $5,000. So, but if life was normal, we weren't in a pandemic and I didn't have to go to the ER to have that done, and I just went to this place that specializes in MRIs, CAT scans, and X-rays, just in the next town over, it would have only cost $1,200. I could have saved myself a few $1,000s. So I think what could save us money on that is maybe charging the same price no matter where you're having it done. I think that would be a good first step. So I think prescription drugs, new or old, generic or name brand, let's find an even price. There's no need to charge $5 for an aspirin when the rest of the world is charging 50 cents. Let's go with, outpatient things and needs like that, even inpatient needs. Let's make a uniform price instead of where you live and what you do price. I think those would be our two biggest expenses. Now, like I said, doctor's visits, 12.1. $12.01 of every 100 we're or 10 cents of every 100 we're spending. So I can see kind of doctor visits maybe being a need, and that number may even drop. I'm getting these numbers from a thing that's called AHIP, and they're an independent people that look out for healthcare dollar amounts. And this is a PDF they sent out back back this year, 2021. And if you want to look at it, you can either look up AHIP or just type type in your Google search or whatever search you use. Where does your healthcare dollars go? And you will find this. And then they have a PDF you can download that explains all of this. So doctor visits, those are just your copays, for the most part. But once again, if you go to a doctor that's in one neighborhood, he may charge $200. You go to a doctor that's in another neighborhood, he may charge $80, depending on the neighborhood and what he's trying to do. Now, there are some things set in place by insurance companies that help prevent some price gouging, especially when it comes to doctor visits. You know, if they accept, like, if my doctor accepts my insurance, so I pay my copay when I go in, and it doesn't really matter because she has an agreement with our insurance company that says, you know, yes, I'll take your insurance. It doesn't matter if she charges somebody that doesn't have insurance $1 million. She's only getting a certain dollar amount from my insurance company. That's what they agreed to. So that's kind of a plus. And doctor visits can't really be helped. And they include quite a bit. But I think the other three big costs, I think those could be changed. You know, now as far as that 20% that comes into the insurance company, you know, like 4.6% of their 20%, or we'll just say 5%, 5% of your 100, is taxes and fees. Those are fees paid to the government for regulation and taxes. You know, they spend 3.1 on other fees and business expenses. That would be the electricity to keep the lights on, so to speak. But they only spend 0.8% on quality improvements. And what quality improvements is helping you to quit smoking, teaching you how to eat right. You know, basically giving you the tools you need to live a healthier lifestyle so you don't have to end up in the hospital making, you know, the healthcare industry rich or richer. And I find that kind of humorous. When if that's the case, if we would just take better care of ourselves, that would probably help. They only make 3% profit off of their 20%. Yeah. So, and that still equals up to billions of dollars industry whole. But in reality, that's not very much of a profit margin. So I'm not truly hating on that so much. Although I think they could rearrange some of this and maybe help improve the quality of life. But if you look this up, like I said, if you Google this, the first page is a picture of a dollar bill that's colorized and broken down into each category, and then the next 4 pages are nothing more than examples and explanations of what each of those things mean. And I definitely think there's a way in here to fix this. I'm just not sure how to fix this. How do we convince pharmacies and hospital people who are making mega money off of this that it's in their best interest? Because you can still make money off of it. Even if we dropped everything by 5% or 5 cents off every dollar, $5 off every 100, you can still make money. You're just not going to make it as quickly. That's all. You know, your long-term plan, you have a better long-term plan than a short-term plan. You know, this is almost like a quick catch scheme, you know, to some extent. So anyhow, that's what I've learned on this. And it's all based on, it looks like there's a little bit of maybe potential legal shenanigans going on the insurance company end. But I think there's more legal shenanigans going on with drug companies and hospitals than there are anything else. Everything else seems to kind of check out just based on examples. So that's my thoughts. What are your thoughts? You know, what do you think? What do you think can help make cost of insurance go down to where it is not taking up a chunk of your paycheck? You know, it amazes me. It will never cease to amaze me the chunk of your paycheck that comes out before you get that, and the chunks you pay out afterwards. Quick side note, I learned this week. Child care, which we've never paid for in our house. We have always had family that could help until Chris was able to stay home and work, and so we've never actually paid for child care. For a family of 3, mom, dad, 1 child, it is 21% of their income. Average $16,000 a year, or $1,200 a month per child. If you have 3 children, that's $3,600 a month. Why? Why is that? You know, I mean, I guess in some ways I get it because of the strict rules and regulations we put on things. And this is definitely another topic for another time. But why? Good God, if you have, before you even see, out of your pay, you better have a good job. Between the ongoing prices of apartments, you know, mortgages, people flipping homes and charging outrageous amounts for them, you know, your monthly cost to live is quite frankly horrible. I'm glad I'm older now and my kids are grown and we lucked out in that aspect. Because, geez, oh, Pete, it's expensive. $1,200 a month per child for daycare. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. And Bernie Sanders, if you ever happen to watch one of my videos, get a hold of me. Because I like some of your ideas. I just want to know how small, medium business is going to help pay for all of this without bankrupting themselves. Based on 2 videos ago when I talked about minimum wage being $15 an hour. Like I said, not against it. I just want to know how we're going to pay for it. Because I know that'll bankrupt a lot of small businesses. Anyhow, these are my thoughts on the day. Definitely the insurance things. If you have a topic you would like to talk about, if you want to talk about this topic some more, because it's a lot more than I can talk on a video about, let alone just on Facebook, but get a hold of me. You can get a hold of me on Facebook and Instagram, Brian's Aquatics still. You can leave me a comment here. You can message me. You know, I'm on Messenger. The only thing I don't have is I don't have a TikTok. I don't have a Snapchat. But I do have an Instagram, Facebook, and a YouTube channel that I'm more than willing to talk to you on. Let me know your thoughts on the insurance thing. Let me know your thoughts on childcare, you know, or any thought for that matter that you'd like to talk about. So tomorrow for dinner, we're going to do a chicken dish. It is a Chipotle green chicken grilled on the stovetop with a green onion Chipotle sauce, and it sounds delicious. And it'll be new. As many of you know, everything I pretty much cook is new to me. We always like to try recipes out together and see how they run. But this one sounds really good. It's a quick, easy, kind of a weeknight meal thing. The prep time and meal time on it was only like, I think, 25 minutes total. So easy to achieve. We'll probably pair it with some rice. And then Thursday, as it stands right now, we are going to make, what is it we're making again Thursday? Flan. I keep forgetting. Which is a Mexican dessert. It's like a custard. So Chris is actually going to show us how to make it. She'll make it while I talk. So we got like a special guest on, which is awesome. I can't wait. I'm excited for that. As always, on my channel, there are no guarantees. That's just our plan for now. Always subject to change. This is family life, and things happen. Always got a plan B. Always got a backup. But chicken covered in a nice Chipotle green onion gravy, and Thursday is a nice custard dish called flan. So, till then, I love you. Tell somebody else you love them. It'll make their day a whole lot better, I promise. And I will see you tomorrow for dinner. All right? Love you. Talk to you later. Bye.